Hello, everybody. So today we are going to start with pivot table, and we are doing this as a part of data analysis for manager course, where we'll be telling you that how, as a manager, you can make use of the pivot table. So let's start with it. So today we are going to do advanced summarization using the pivot table. First of all, what is a pivot table and why we use them? One of the most important use of pivot table is that it is a very important tool which is used for data summarization. In case if we have large amount of data and when we need to make reports using that data, we can do it by using a pivot table. So it is mainly used for making reports with the help of large data. A pivot table is an interactive Excel feature that allows you to quickly summarize large data set. It is an Excel tool that allows you to break data down by categories. So in case if you want to display the data according to the counts or the sum or according to the mean or median or according to the average, you can do it with the help of the pivot table. So pivot table is basically used to summarize the data into a much easier form, which is much easy to analyze. So why do we use a pivot table? The reason we use a pivot table is that since we are having a large amount of data which consists of many columns and many rows, suppose if we want to get an insight from the data, so that can be done with the help of the pivot table. And it is very easy to group the data, to filter the data. The calculation by using the pivot table is very simple. And we can also make interactive dashboard by using a pivot table. So what are the benefit of using a pivot table? The benefit of using a pivot table is that in case if we have a simple table which have so many rows and so many columns, it's very difficult to analyze the data, right? So what we can do is that we can take large volumes of data and we can create a pivot table from that base table, right? And based upon the fields that we have in the pivot table, we can group the data and we can also find the data from the different categories. We can do sorting and filtering of the data. In the pivot table, we can use various custom formulas and we can also show the analysis of our data with the help of the pivot charts. What are the core components of the pivot table? So when we talk about the core components of the pivot table, there are actually four components of the pivot table. One is the row, which is basically consists of the categories, which is used for analysis. The other is the column, which is the second category, which is used in case if we have to use the two-dimensional data. Third is the row. Row is containing the data which can be added, which can be, we can find average, maximum, minimum in the values data. So values data is basically a metric data filter. So if we have to sort the data dynamically, we can do with the help of the filter field. So these are the four important components of the pivot table. So let's take an example of a customer order at Electmark. So you can see that we have a huge data set. This data set consists of about 400 customers, and we need to create some insight from this data. So that can be done with the help of the pivot table. Here we can see over there that total cost is basically a column which can be added, which can be we can find the average, minimum, maximum. So that column will be part of the values field. Other than this, gender, by category, card type, region, time, days, date. So these columns cannot be part of the values field because they are the categories. So they were either they are going to go either in the rows field or in the column field. And if we want to filter a particular value, then we have to put that into a filter field. So you can see over there that how do we create a pivot table? So initially what we do is that we have the base table, or we can say the source table. We have to first of all select the source table of which the pivot table we need to create. Then we have to go to the insert tab. Inside the insert tab, there is a pivot table option. So you have to click on that option. When you click on the pivot table option, a dialog box will appear, which will ask you to select the range of the table. So you can either select of the range of the source table, or if you create a table yourself, you can give a name of the table, and then you have to choose the your pivot table has to be in the new worksheet, and then click on OK. Then a field like this, a canvas like this will appear on the new worksheet. So on the left hand side of this is basically a canvas in which your results will appear, and on the right hand side you will find the pivot table fields which will contain the columns that were there in the base table. So beneath this you will find the four important fields that we discussed regarding the pivot table, which was your filter, your column, your rows, and your values. So now this is actually the final pivot table that you're going to see. It consists of four areas: filter, rows, columns, and values. They correspond to the four areas in the blank pivot table where you can put the field. So initially it is very easy to create a pivot table. All you need to do is that you have to drag your column into a particular field area which you want your output in. So that is what you need. And there are certain calculations which you can do in case if you need to find an average or sum or percent total, or you need to group an item. So there are certain customization that you need to do for that. But all that you have to do in order to create a pivot table is simply drag a field or a column into the area that you want to create a pivot table for. So a row field that you can see is a category field. So whether it is gender, right? So that is a category field that cannot be put into a values column because value columns contain the fields which are basically summarized. So a row field has a category fields that go down the left side of the pivot table. Then a column field is also the category field which is on the top of the pivot table. A filter field lets you filter the whole pivot table by its category, and a value field contains the data that you want to summarize. So basically the categorical fields are put in filter, rows, and column, and the numeric and the metric fields are put in the values area. Okay, so you can see this is example of a customer order at Elecmar. So you can see over here that we have put a region field right inside the field of that means at what time they are actually ordering or what daytime, that whether it is afternoon or evening or morning. So they have created a nested pivot table. Nested pivot table means when you take two fields where one field is kept inside or beneath the first field. So here we can say that as you see your base table over here, time is contained three categories, which is morning, afternoon, and evening. And region consists of four categories, which is west, north, east, south, and midwest. So here what we are doing over in this particular pivot table, we are first creating a field which is a time field, and we are putting inside the row, and beneath the time field we are putting a region field which consists of midwest, northeast, south, and west. So this becomes your nested pivot table. And on the value field, we have put a total cost field because it is the field that we want to summarize. So based upon this pivot table, we are actually finding that at what time of the day, what are the sales for the particular region. So we can say that an afternoon at the total sales at afternoon is about 24,265. And we can also see that what are the sales which are region wise. That means Midwest, Northeast, and South and West. Similarly, for the evening, we can see what are the total sales, and morning also we can see the total sales, and we can also see what are the grand totals for the sales. So with the help of the pivot table, we can easily make the reports regarding that at what time, what are the total sales, and what are the sales of the individual region. Okay, so you can see over here, this field is also being created by using, and this is the type of filter that has been created. So in which you can see that what are the sum of the total cost over here for the afternoon, evening, and morning. So hiding categories. So in pivot table, a very important option that has been given, which is filter. So filter can be used in pivot table in case if we want to basically see a particular field and we want to ignore the other field. So a filter can be done in the time field. So you can see in the time, when we are not interested in the afternoon and only interested in the morning and evening, so we will select on the filter, and in that there are checkbox will appear. We are going to select morning and evening checkbox. So it is going to give us an output for morning and evening. And in the region, we will be selecting only the two regions, that is your Midwest and Northeast, which will give an output of those two regions and the sales that are there in the morning and evening. So this is filtering is used in case if we are only looking for a specific output, right? So it is often useful to filter out or to hide some of these categories. This is basically used to focus on the categories of most interest. Sorting. Sorting is also very important in case when we have your fields and you want to find out the numbers in your descending order and in your ascending order, you can do by the sorting in that field. It is easy to sort in the pivot table either by numbers in the value areas or by the labels in the row or column fields. To sort the number in the value area, we have to right click any number and select sort. So if we have the numbers, the metric field, which is in the value area and which we have to sort according to the increasing order or the decreasing order, we have to select any particular value and we have to right click on it. An option will appear, many options will appear of which we have to select the sort, and then we can sort the labels of the rows or the column field, right? In the same way, by clicking on a particular cell and right clicking on it and selecting a particular field and whether it is ascending or descending. So this is the pivot charts. Pivot charts are basically used in order to analyze the data more efficiently. So when you create a pivot table, you can simply select the table that you have created and go to insert chart. Once you go and insert the chart, there's various options of the chart that is available. You can either select a bar chart or a line chart, pie chart, area chart, or histogram, any chart that you want to select according to your data. So as you can see over here that we have created a pivot table in which we have selected that what is the time of the day and what are the sales in the particular region. So out of this, we have also created a chart. In this, we created a column chart. So you can see over here in the column chart, you can easily identify that in the evening and according to the evening, and that is the maximum total cost is there, the average. And you can see over there that Midwest region is having the maximum average of the total cost. So charts can also make you analyze the data more efficiently and easy. Multiple variables in the value areas. So sometimes it happens that we want to select the average as well as the total cost of a particular category. So in that case, we can select the total cost. We can drag the total cost 2 times in the value area. And all we have to do is that we have to right click on it and we have to select the value settings. Inside the value setting, there are options that whether you want average, sum, or maximum, minimum, count. So there, if you want to select the average, you can select the average. And if you want to select the sum, you can simply select the sum. So in this, we can see that we have selected the average of the total cost and the sum of the total cost according to the region for a particular time. So this has basically let us select multiple variables in the values areas. So we can select more than one variable in the values areas as well. All we have to do is that we have to drag that particular field the number of times we want that in the value area, and we have to select what we want. That means whether we want sum, average, minimum, maximum, count. So we just have to click on that particular drop down, and then we have to select to the value settings. Inside the value settings, we have to select that what we want, average, sum, and your count or minimum or maximum. And finally, we get the result as they are shown in the right hand side. So grouping. Grouping is a very important option that is in the pivot table. It is used to basically check a particular type of category. Suppose when we are using a date consists of a day, it consists of a month and a year. And when we want to see our data according to a month, so suppose we drag a date in the row label, then we can go to that particular field and we can simply select a cell we can right click on it and we can select the group. Once we select a group, a dialog box appears which tells us that whether we want to group according to a day, month or year. So we can select the month over there, and by default it is going to tell us what is the average of the total cost according to the month that is there in the base table. So you can see over here that we have started with a blank pivot table, and there we have selected date and total cost in the pivot table field. Then we have right click on any day and we have selected the group option. In that group option, a dialog box appear and we group according to the month. And this is what we get as an output for March, April, May, and June. So these 4 months are selected as there was in the base table, and we can see what is the average of total cost for these months. So this was all for the pivot table. Now we will be doing an example where we will be taking a sample data set and we will be doing some kind of analysis on the sample data set, which will help us identify that how we can basically find insight from a sample data set and use that in daily life as a manager. Thank you.